Hey everyone, Tom Shorrocks here, founder of The Tactical View. Welcome back to our podcast, the show where we bring you unique insights from the world of football and sport. In today's episode, we speak to former Reading manager Brian McDermott. Brian spent 13 years at the club in various positions, including first-team manager, and in 2012 won the Championship and gained promotion to the Premier League. Today, Brian tells us the story. Let's kick things off.
Alan brought me to the club, didn't really know me, but he brought me in. And I was chief scout and under-17 manager in the academy. I didn't have a clue about scouting. So he said to me, "Can you be the head scout?" And I went, "Yeah, no problem." And I just made it my business to go to as many possible games as I could, and tried to know as many players as I could. And then when Steve Coppell came in 2003, Steve brought me into a room and said, "Look, Brian, all I want you to do, no match reports, just find me players," which was a joy to hear, really. Yeah. And that's what I did. So for 2003 to 2009, with Steve in charge, I just went out and found players, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. It was passion just to go and watch players, but I also kept involved with my coaching. I don't know how I did it, actually, looking back, time-wise. But I took the reserves as well. But Nigel Gibbs was there at the time, and he did a lot of the coaching, most of the coaching, where I was just there on a match day working with the players and Nigel. So very fortunate to keep the two roles going, which held me in good stead going forward to when I got the manager's job at Reading in 2009. It was a process really of 2.5 years. I took over from Brendan Rodgers, and I knew Brendan for years, and Brendan obviously has turned himself into a top manager. It didn't work out for him at Reading. He was there 6 months, and I got the job when we were second bottom in the league. And that 6 months was really important to me. I got the job as a caretaker, and my first 3 games was Bristol City, drew, Swansea, drew. Third game was Plymouth away. We got smashed 4-1, got beaten easily. And then the next game, and I'm only caretaker, so that, and I want the job at this point. I've made my mind up. I know the staff, I know the players. We're in trouble, but I know in my heart that we can get ourselves out of trouble. And I know how I want the players to play. Most of the players I'd scouted anyway, so they knew me. And we played Liverpool in the FA Cup, and we drew 1-1 at Medeski Stadium. And then the next game was Newcastle at home. So my track record so far is 3 games, drew 2 and lost 1. So I've got 2 points out of 9. Now we've got Newcastle coming up, and luckily the game was called off because we wouldn't have won that game. I know we wouldn't have won that game. And so the interesting thing about it, we then draw at Medeski and we go to Anfield, and everyone's thinking we're going to get beat comfortably. They had a really strong team at the time. Torres was playing, Stephen Gerrard was playing, and they were 1-0 up at half time. We nicked a goal just before the end of the game, 1-1, and we went on to win the game 2-1, and we deserved to win it. Shane Long scored the winner, and I think if it wasn't for that game, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you now. We won the game. I was told that I was going to get the job after that game, but they didn't announce it for 2 more games, and the next 2 games were Sheffield United away and Nottingham Forest away, and I thought, this is not good. We could lose these 2 games as well, because we weren't right. Anyway, there's a cup match in between. We played Burnley and we won the Burnley game. Now we've got 2 big games coming up. I'm not announced, and the fans are still thinking, God, we want a big name. We don't want this fella to come and do it particularly. Anyway, we got beat by Forest, got beat by Sheffield United, and they announced me the next day. And it kind of went down not particularly brilliantly, if I'm being honest. So, anyway, cut a long story short, we started to win some games. We played Barnsley at home, we won. Then we went on a long run of winning, and we ended up 8th in the league, quarter-final of the FA Cup. So we had a decent season. We nearly got to the playoffs. The following year, we got to the playoff final. Shocking. We got to a final. Thought this was going to be it. We're going to play Swansea. We're playing Brendan's team, and we lose 4-2. Yeah. Oh, devastating. Absolutely devastating. I thought that was it. Chance gone. And then the following year, we started the season, first 7 games, lost 5. And I thought, I'm in trouble, but I've got some brownie points because we got to the playoff final. I think in this day and age, you lose 5 out of 7, you lose your job. Anyway, we went on a long run of wins, and we won on April 2000, and I think it was 12, Great Nottingham Forest at home, and we got promoted.
Yeah.
And we're now back in the Premiership. So that was the story, really. And I'm a Premier League manager, and the team's back in the Premiership, which was the most important thing. I'd worked with Sir John Medeski previously, who was an amazing chairman, and Steve and Alan and Brendan and say the same thing. Just let us get on with our work. We used to work with not a great budget, but we knew what we had to do. What we did at Reading, and what I think that people try and do, and they do it at Manchester City, you know how Pep Guardiola, as you know, I know, we all know, and they try to fit the right people in the, square pegs in square, just put them in the right slots, people in the right slots, not just randomly recruit players because they're good players. They need to go into the right slots for whatever fits the team, and that's really, really important, and that's what I've always tried to do. Some player will not be, it's not necessarily he's not a good or bad player, it just doesn't fit for whatever team that this is the person's going to go into. So it depends what your model looks like, what your team plays like, how your team plays. That's what recruitment looks like. And there's a lot of people that scout just random players, and you think, well, why have you just signed another right back? You've got 2. Or why have you signed a number 10 when you've got a number 10 and you don't need that position or whatever? Sometimes I look at it and I think, that's incredible. It's incredible that the decisions that are made by certain clubs. But then if you look at the top sides, the Liverpools, the Man Uniteds, the Manchester Cities of this world, and you think, how they recruit. Manchester City have recruited this year, and they're 56 million in the black, and they just signed the best centre forward in the world. How does that work? They're 56 million pounds in the black. That is incredible business. I know their scouts. They're all decent people. They keep very quiet at games. They go to games. They know what the manager wants. They know what the director of football wants. When you see them, they're decent men. They work really, really hard. Liverpool guys are the same. I know them all. They're all just decent, humble human beings who work really, really hard. And you don't know who they are. And that's the interesting thing about it, these guys. They work their socks off. I was manager in the Premier League until March 2013. In the January 2013, I got manager of the month. 6 weeks later, I got sacked. So it was a difficult period of time for me, because that's, we were still in with a shout of staying up. It's like third bottom, second bottom, still in with a shout. The lads have done great, with the players that we had. They were great lads, and I loved the lads, and they did really, really well. So anyway, I lost my job there in March 2013. But 13 years at Reading, so I'm very grateful to have spent such a long time at one club.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Now, before we go, I need to ask a huge favour. We love providing content for you all, and we want to make sure we can get it in front of as many people as possible. And the most effective way to do that is through show reviews. So, if you enjoyed that episode, please leave a review to show your support. It'll take you less than 60 seconds and will make a huge difference. Thanks again, guys. Feel free to drop me an email at tom@thetacticalview.com with any thoughts or questions, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Take it easy, and I'll catch you soon.